Happy New Year. I'm really glad you're here. I did a mini makeover on my greenhouse. I've done several mini makeovers, but I did maybe the final mini makeover on my greenhouse, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I'm going to turn around here so you can see behind me. I've had my greenhouse since 2016, and you can see it's a wood frame. This is made by a local company, and then it has the double poly, I think it's called polycarbonate walls and roof. For it being almost 10 years old, you can see how well it has held up. I am so pleased, and I love this shelf that I found at an antique store earlier this spring, but I'll walk you around the back. It's just my potting, my cedar potting table there. You can see some Dusty Miller that I had in the greenhouse using for Christmas greenery. So back here I store a few things. These are Firelight Tidbit, and then some arborvitaes that I was going to transplant and put out in the main garden, and I never got a chance to do that. But if you look at the back, you would just think this greenhouse is maybe a shed or something like that. I do like the style, and it fits here well with all of our farm look, rustic look here on the farm. So, you know, it's something that was maybe fancier than this just wouldn't fit in. You can see the building that's right next to it. Very similar. This is a metal building. So anyway, you could see that if we had anything different, it just wouldn't really look right. But here's the other side. Just storing a few hoses and things like that. And when we bought it, it came with a full door. I think I have some pictures. I still have the door, of course. But in the early summer, I bought this screen door from the company that built the greenhouse. And I loved it so much that Sweet William and I put some plexiglass on the top so that I could just keep it up for the winter. And then we broke the piece of plexiglass that was supposed to go on the bottom, so we just got some heavy clear vinyl, and we'll get a piece of plexiglass for that. But I'm so pleased that I was able to leave the door and just bring in some extra light. Then you can see there, my son-in-law put up this little window box way back in 2016. You can see it's a little bit worse for the wear. It's got hardy succulents in it that are way past, you know, they're sleeping for now, but they're past their prime. I'm planning on getting probably a white window box to go there. And I won't put a window box on this side, although now that I have the screen door and I don't have to leave my main door open, I could get a matching window box. So, hey, I just thought of that. Yay! And I also gave the greenhouse a fresh coat of paint this past summer. Didn't take very long, just maybe an hour and a half to paint the whole thing because of the not a ton of wood on it, but you can see there it just really spiffied it up and made it look all fresh. When I first bought the greenhouse, my 3 oldest grandchildren would make what we called mini gardens, and they would come in and rearrange their gardens. They had a blast doing that. Of course, over the years, they've all grown taller. We can't all fit in there now, and my oldest granddaughter has a greenhouse of her own, so then it became more of a workshop, a place where I would make Christmas wreaths and Christmas swags, different Christmas greenery and things like that. I also use it for making some bouquets because there's still plenty of work room after my makeover. You'll see all the work room I have left, and I'll still use it for making bouquets. I use it for making some dried flower arrangements. And I use it for the first stage of hardening off of some of my seedlings, so it's a great place for that. One year, I even grew tomato plants in there, and they did fairly well, not super great. But over the years, it's basically become a utility workspace, and I was just ready for something different. Right around Christmas time, I said to my hubby, you know what I want for my birthday, which is in February? I want to sort of spruce my greenhouse up a little bit and do another makeover on my greenhouse. And he was like, really? What are you going to do with all that stuff? And what are you going to do with those metal shelves that are in there? And I was like, well, I have a plan. I always have a plan. Gardeners always have a plan. So I was able to go through all of my supplies. I was able to move the metal shelving that was in the greenhouse here into our storage shed, and just we kind of rearranged everything, and he was pleased with it. I was pleased with it, and I really didn't think I was going to find any furniture for in here, the furniture that I wanted. And, you know, I thought, well, you know, I probably won't find anything right away. I'll just take my time and look around. But I am so excited of what I found. So let me flip the camera back around and I'll show you. Kind of leaning back so you can see these two pieces that I found. But we went out to breakfast a week or so ago. And then I said, could we run over to this one particular antique mall? And he said, yeah, sure. So I had some cash with me that I had earned here from YouTube. So thank you so much. And I had that with me just in case, you know. And I kind of thought I'd be finding some wooden pieces for in here or a wooden cabinet or something like that. But I came across this one in one of the booths and I said, oh, wow, this is metal. And you can see here, it's just perfect for in here. And I really like the color. It was the perfect height and actually the perfect depth. Sweet William, of course, measured everything, you know, measured my space. He's so good about that. He measured my space before we left and he knew exactly the sizes that we would need. So I am super pleased. And then in another booth, I saw this little sort of like rustic potting table and look at the color. It's almost the exact same color and it has some, you know, little rustic distressed whatever look on the top. Just perfect for me and my rustic gardens. Then I went in Joann's and I found these baskets. They were on sale for $5 each. Whoops, I left the price tag on one of them. And I haven't even filled them all. You can see I've got my soil blockers and some of my tools. But let's get back to looking at this cabinet for a minute. I had a magnetic hook there that I hung my tool belt on. And then I found some magnetic photo covers. I had some of my pictures from my garden enlarged. So it was like, this is all coming together so perfectly. I brought a lot of my vases out of my dried flower shed, and I have big plans for that. If you've watched any of my dried flower shed videos, or my dried flower cottage, let's say. If you've watched any of those, I have all my vases and all my dried flowers in there. But I moved a lot of my vases out here, and you can see I use a lot of silver plate vases and things to make bouquets. But oh gosh, I'm just super excited to have this cabinet, and it's got a drawer in it, and I have all kinds of stuff, you know, stuff that we need. And then it has these two doors here and just more storage space. So oh gosh, just so happy to have found this. And you can see I've got some of my tools hanging up here. My garden hat that I use more of a decoration now. A couple days after we went to the antique place, I went to Hobby Lobby. And I hit the right time because they had, you know, everything. You know how sometimes they'll have their stuff on 40% off or 50% off. So I found this cute little what is that, like a little atrium or terrarium, or I guess a terrarium is what it's called. And I just put some faux flowers that I had, some faux ferns that I had in my closet for now until I decide what I want to do. I already had that lamp, so I was happy to have that. This basket I was so excited to have found. It was a good price, and I will fill that with dried flowers. But I'm just so pleased with how this is coming together. And then when we swing around this way, this planter here, my niece and nephew gave to me several years ago. This shelf goes to my potting table, my cedar potting table, and it just set that up there. And you can see my winterberry. I just couldn't give it up. This was leftover winterberry from making wreaths and making swags and everything. And I just couldn't give it up. So I just put it in that coal hod. And I made some makeshift curtains. My oldest granddaughter, Angelette, who is my garden helper, had made curtains for me a couple of years ago, and they had monarch butterflies on them. Well, they faded so badly. So I got some material, green stripe and white, just made some makeshift curtains, and You can see I need to clean the outside of these windows. This light I got, it's a crab basket, I think I got from an antique store several years ago. So that's hanging there. And then you can see my little greenhouse heater. When I'm working in here, I turn it on, or when I have my seedlings in here, I leave it on very, very low so that it would stay about 45 degrees in here overnight. But this side of the greenhouse is sort of my workspace, and you see here this shelving. This shelving was all the way around, so it went around there, it went around the back, and around this side. So a couple of years ago, we took all of this side, the back and this side out, just to have a little bit more space. But this is my work area, and I clean it often. It gets dirty. I repainted it not long ago. These solar lights were out hanging in one of my trees, and the wind has just been fierce lately, so I brought them in here. And then I found these cute wooden sunflower thingies, hanging thingies. This was my grandmother's, this enamel pot here. It was my grandmother's. She used it in her garden. And then you can see I just have some my pruners and my shears and a flower pot and different things like that. This shelf we put in here several years ago, and I think I'll just leave it even though it's not the prettiest shelving. It's very functional. Then I found these really neat rope baskets at Hobby Lobby, and like I said, everything was on sale. If I can maneuver that with one hand. And I have gloves in there, and then I just have different things. The clips that I use to hold down my row cover, and more clips, different things like that. And more just supplies, you know how you need to have supplies, and plant tags. I've started saving plant tags for the last several years, and that is so helpful because we do forget. And then down here underneath, you can see the color scheme that I found at Hobby Lobby. I was like, everything is the color that I'm going for. So I found these, they called them resin baskets, and they were on sale. So those are for storage. And then I had that tub there that I mixed soil in. That's been in here a long time. And then there's my potting soil tray. And a random pot of soil that I had some other plants in here. But anyway, this space, even though it's only 8 by 8, it's just perfect for me. I have enjoyed it immensely, and I am so thankful for it. You can see behind me the fan that I use. It does get quite warm, quite hot in my greenhouse. I use a shade cloth during the summer. I usually put it on maybe the end of April because it starts really heating up in here by then, and it's a 70% shade cloth. So I put it on the outside, and we bungee tie it down. Without a shade cloth, there's just no way you could do anything in here. It would just roast. Solar heat keeps it pretty warm during the winter. I mean, if it's sub-zero temperatures, it's just going to be that in here, because I chose not to get the floor in my greenhouse. The original design of these greenhouses come with a wood floor. And I said, I just can see myself just messing that wood floor up, having to sweep all the time. I, spill water in here and things like that. Obviously, the flooring would keep it a little bit warmer, but I'm really happy that I chose not to get the flooring. It's 29 degrees Fahrenheit outside right now, and it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit in here, so that's not bad. I mean, that's a little chilly if you're trying to work in here, but my little greenhouse heater just heats it up to about 65 degrees, and that's perfect for working. I do get asked from time to time some advice on buying a greenhouse. And my first piece of advice is always go a little bit bigger if you can afford it. Go a little bit bigger than you're planning on. And I say that not to contradict what I said earlier about I'm very happy and I'm very content with this greenhouse. I think when you're planning out your greenhouse, if you decide that you want a greenhouse, there are so many options out there. There are so many different types. There are so many companies you can order them from or buy them from, or local companies. So many local shed companies now are selling greenhouses. So I think you need to just think about what you might use it for. When it's raining, when it's gray, when it's overcast, I just enjoy coming in here and just hanging around. puttering around. I might make a bouquet or doing a dried flower arrangement. It's just a real enjoyable and fun place to come. I'm looking forward to spending 2025 here with you on YouTube. I do realize and understand that your time is so valuable, but the next video I have planned for you is to review our 2024 perennial gardens and to show you what did well, what I lost a few things, to talk through my perennial gardens with you, the perennial gardens that we planted in late summer of 2023. So I want to go over how 2024 did with you. So that's what's on for next. And then I want to just talk to you about a few other things. I've been really blessed to have been able to write some articles for a homesteader magazine. So I'm super excited about those coming out in the spring issues this year. And hopefully I can contribute more to their magazine. But that's what we'll be doing in 2025. I'll just share with you. I have some ideas for my main garden, and I have a new area set up on top of our hill for cut flowers, so I'm excited about that. We moved some beds around, so I'll be showing you all of that. So please stick with me this coming year and we'll garden together. Until next time, friends, I really appreciate you being here. Bye-bye.